taken from this earth because of his views, shot down because he believed in something that we seem to take for granted. He was an unreasonable man. The reason why it's so important to understand what I mean by unreasonable is because it is the core. It is the core of change. So many of us live an unreasonable life. So many people here are overcoming odds just to be on this campus, just to make it here tonight, just to be here through another semester, just to fight back the circumstances at home. You are doing something unreasonable, beyond comprehension. If I can, I'd like to share with you a brief story about an unreasonable woman. And the reason I want to share this story about an unreasonable woman is because there's so many of us who don't realize our own power. It's easy to be overwhelmed and daunted by the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King, a man who literally put his life on the line day after day. A man who knew he was going to die. Not because he was some sort of savant, because people said, we're going to kill you. It gets to a point when people are telling you they're going to kill you, you start believing it. Especially when they do things like bomb your house. When they shoot at you. Send threatening notes. Threatening to hang your children. See, in order to have a conversation about Dr. King, we need to understand the context, not the commercialization of it. We need to truly understand the sacrifices of a man who existed in a space that was by design unreasonable. Let's break down the term unreasonable. Is to be without, and reason. Reason is the thing that we accept as to be the standard by which most good decisions are made. Reason. To be able means to be capable. So when you put it together, it means to be without the capacity to do things that people think you should do. So this young lady, I get the opportunity to work with a lot of parents. And I got to be honest with you. You'll hear people talking about how important it is to have parental involvement and more parents in the school. But I got to be honest with you. Grown folks are a pain in the ass. I mean, for real. Grown people will come into the school and make simple things complicated.
Yes.
Take what should be an otherwise reasonable conversation and become unreasonable because they haven't dealt with their own challenges in life, so they come and make my job hard. So I get the chance to see many parents, some who are reasonable and some who are not. But sometimes it's those unreasonable parents, those unreasonable people who push the envelope so far that it forces us to see ourselves differently, and they create a new reality. Because that's what reason is. Reason at its core is reality for some people. But there are always those among us who are willing to push the limits of reason in order to recreate reality so that they can live out what it is that they feel is inside them. Trailblazers. So this woman was unreasonable because she is white. And at 16, she had a child. That child would come to be the third generation of poverty in her family. This child is black. And she believed that she could raise this black child. Unreasonable for some. She believed that she could raise a black boy. And she believed that if she believed that she could somehow get them both up out of crushing poverty. When she was a child, she only had one dress. She had a school uniform and a church dress. See, so much of what we talk about when we're talking about Dr. King is rooted in the ethereal, the esoteric, the large. But we don't understand that he was a man trying to make sense out of nonsense, trying to explain to people that he believed something that no one else seemed to see. He believed that there was something greater than the color of his skin. He believed that there was something inside his soul that defined him, that made him more than a color, but a man. Today, it's all too easy to get caught up in the fact that we don't seem to see color, except for the fact that I know y'all see color. And all that you do here at West Georgia, I know you've seen color. Because I walked around campus for a little while. Y'all sit with color, you talk to color, and you separate by color. In order for us to celebrate Dr. King, we have to understand that there's still some things that we ain't really figured out just yet. That for so many of us, color still matters in ways it shouldn't. It's an accident of birth. Now, when I was growing up, I was the lightest one in my family. And I never knew that because no one ever told me. I thought I was jet black. I ain't lying. And so I would look back at some of the pictures, as a grown person, I look back and say, why didn't y'all tell me? It's like they kept it a secret. No one ever pointed out that I was lighter than my cousins. It just was. When somebody doesn't tell you that there's a limit on who you are, then you don't see the limit on what you could become. I exist in a space as an educator where my very existence is to ensure that children don't see the limits that other people put upon them. See, limits are powerful because what they stand as is an albatross around your dreams. What they do is they call them reason. And what reason does is it dictates what you do and don't do. What you believe and do not believe. What you see and don't see. And so this unreasonable woman felt that she could figure out a way to raise this black boy. Everybody here has something that they believe in. I don't know what you believe, but I know what you do. See, I can't read what you believe, but I can see what you do. And each one of us has something that is shut up inside us that we must do. Like, some of y'all are here because you must get a better grade. So you must do something like take some notes. So that when you go back to that professor, you can show that you must have done what it was you were supposed to have done so you can do what you were supposed to do. Doesn't make it bad, it just makes it true. Others of you are here because you want to find something in you, that you want that support within you to make it possible for you to connect to other unreasonable people. Other individuals who look beyond the circumstances into which you were born and being raised into a world in which life is different. Where color is just that. Where it doesn't somehow define what is within us. When we decided to start our school in Hartford, it was said to be unreasonable. In the city of Hartford, the graduation rate was 29% total. Sit on that for a second. Right? That's a virtual promise that you will not graduate from high school. This was not 1964. This was not 1974. It was not 1984, 1994. 2005. In the great Northeast with the Yankees. Not those Yankees. Relax. Where we seem to act as if we've overcome racism and classism, where we look upon y'all like you still doing it wrong. In this community with largely black and Latino children, poor children, we keep delivering this crass example of something that we refer to as education, knowing that the only people who are benefiting from the system are the employees of it. The individuals who are paid to work there are the only ones who benefit when a school system only graduates 29% of its children. See, it's all too easy for us to have a conversation about the other people instead of having a conversation about us. We could celebrate Dr. King. We could all get up here and recite his speeches, read them as we wish, but we wouldn't be understanding what it was that he was asking for. He was asking for something unreasonable. So when we decided to start this school, it was a protest, really. The reason why I wanted to start a school for largely African American Latino children, the overwhelming majority of whom are poor, and call it a college prep school, is because I couldn't be convinced that the color of a child made him or her less intelligent. I couldn't be convinced that simply because of the hue of an individual that she or he was less capable. I couldn't be convinced that poverty was the reason why people didn't learn. It is the reason why people don't teach, though. See, when you start to establish the limits of reason, what you do is you start to say what should and shouldn't be. And one of the things that people believe should and shouldn't be is that some poor kids can't learn. And they think they know who's poor because they work in a certain school. They think they understand who's got what because the school tells them that there's Title I of poor kids in there. But so that what they do is they put their limitations, what they see as reasonable, upon children. But the very existence of a child is unreasonable. Everything about a child is a miracle. If you've ever seen children grow up, they are a miracle. Sometimes it's a miracle that you don't choke them because they get under this. I'm sorry. Left something at work. But this time, we believed that we could do something unreasonable. So I remember saying to someone that I'm going to open a school in Hartford, Connecticut. It's going to be a college preparatory school. We're going to send 100% of our graduates on to four-year colleges. People laughed out loud. Laughed out loud. Said to me, man, you're being unreasonable. Being unreasonable. How can you expect? They don't even want to go to college. Why are you going to waste your time? Why would you even try? Because every single one of us has something in us that's unreasonable that we just need to get out. Every single one of us has something that is unreasonable within us that we need to explore. Dr. King called it a dream. It's something that just doesn't sit right. When you're in the quiet space of your soul, something about you that says, I need to, it's a business. It's a not-for-profit organization. It's a dream that you have, but it's unreasonable because when you went home during break, you said, so Ma, I want to talk to you about something. I got something I want to explain to you. I think I want to be a teacher. Oh, no, not a teacher. Anything but that. I want to work with kids. You're going to be broke. Why couldn't you just be gay? And a doctor. Because there's something inside you that's unreasonable, that makes you believe beyond your circumstances, that doesn't allow you to see what other people see. You don't see it the way that other people see it. And when people point it out to you, it just doesn't make sense. Quincy Jones once said that if a man can be discouraged, he should be. If you can be discouraged, then you shouldn't try. But if you cannot be discouraged, then you need to understand that just because someone told us that we couldn't start a school, it didn't make it so. It only makes it so if you accept somebody else's example of reason. The young woman who I talk about tonight was told by her family that they wanted nothing to do with her. They said that we disown you. If you have this son, if you have this child, We do not want you around us. One of the hardest things that anyone in this room will ever do is to make a decision to separate themselves from people who love them or who they believe love them. One of the hardest decisions that so many of you make, even on the weekends, is whether or not you go home to the people who love you. Because sometimes the people who love you can be some of the most poisonous people to your dreams. Because they have their own version of reason. And because they have their own version of reason, they want you to stop being so unreasonable. They want you to do something safe. They want to pull you down to where they are, or worse, where they see you. Because sometimes their reason isn't even about where they are. Sometimes they want to pull you down even further than themselves, because the only way they can accept you is if you are beneath them. So be reasonable. Get your place. Do what it is that we expect you to do. No matter what it is. I love sports. I love sports for what they mean. There's so much that you can learn from sports. See, we started a school in the hood. And what happens very often is when you have, I run a magnet school, and I'll explain to you the difference in a little while. But what happens sometimes when you have a magnet school or a charter school is that you have to pick. Either you have to pick that the school that's a good school, or you pick a school that's got good sports, right? So they use terrible academics, a good team who can't read Spalding on a ball. Or you have these group of kids who should not be around balls. They see a ball, they should just leave. We happen to be one of those schools that is both good academically and good from an athletic perspective. We are unreasonable in our expectations of children. So as a result, we have two-time defending state champs in women's basketball. We just won the football state championship this year. And even in our little Black and Latino school, we won the cross-country state championship. Yes, I said cross-country. Excellence is what happens when you rewrite reason. When you rewrite reason and you take a look at what other people see as unreasonable and move to that place, that's where you find excellence. That's where you find growth, and that's where you find your greatest challenges. As this young lady went on through her life, she found herself challenged by what other people thought should have been her family structure. She tried to marry the father of the child, but it didn't work out really well. He was abusive, selfish. And so she ventured off on her own. She graduated from high school, but found herself in a community college while she would raise her son. All the while challenging him to be better than his circumstances. You can reset reason. You can recreate what happens in your heart. You can look at yourself and see what it is that you're supposed to be, not what other people think you should be. And so she pressed on. While the father of her son went to prison, she pressed on. She worked 2 jobs when necessary, 3 if it was required. She went to school and simply didn't listen. She found people who believed in what she believed in, and she found a home, because everybody has a community. Everybody has a community. Even the land of the misfit toys is a land. Every group has its members, and she found those people who supported her dreams. Other mothers like herself, other women like her, who just were not going to take what other people took as reason and own it. When you accept other people's reality, you accept their limits, and when you accept their limits, you take away your gifts. When you take away your gifts, you don't become who you should be. And sadly, we all lose as a result of it. She encouraged her son. She pushed him. She supported him. Every game, every event, she was there. Sold more candy bars than anybody. When you remove the limits on you, you open the door for other people. So her son accepted what she had set out to be the expectations of his life, this unreasonable existence. What he did was he listened to what his mother said. He believed that he didn't have to be what it was that other people thought he should be. He believed he could be more than the circumstances into which he was born. He believed he could be something great. Every day I work with children. And in that space, we have to perform miracles every day. We have to convince young women and men that they are beautiful, even though there are people who tell them that they are not. One of the strangest things that has happened to us when we started the school is we started this gifted and talented program. And it's strange, really, because when we would call home sometimes and tell parents that their children had tested into the gifted and talented program, they would tell us, no, they didn't. They'd say, no, sis, really, your son's smart. No, he ain't. I recognize he does dumb things, but he really is smart. Because in their minds, it was impossible. You so often will hear a parent who will say to a child or about a child, he's not good at math because I wasn't good at math. He doesn't read too good because I didn't read too good. A parent can impose their will even on their own children, but this parent didn't. So as a result, her son went on to college, got a full scholarship to an Ivy League school, went on, wrote 5 books, then came down to West Georgia today. We don't have to live within reason, y'all. Reason ain't fun. You want to have fun, push the limits, get on the other side of reason, get out front, get in the front car of life's roller coaster. That's where the good ride is. See, everybody's in the same train, but everybody ain't having the same ride. The ones up front, the ones woo, with the hands up, that's where you start to feel it. See, in order for you to understand that you have the capacity, you have to begin to believe it. You have to do something to prove to yourself that you can, in fact, live an unreasonable life. Now, look, I'm going to break it down. See, young ladies, you know that you can live an unreasonable way because y'all are kind of unreasonable. You know, you could take a story that took about 30 seconds to occur and sit a man down before you and tell a 4-day account while his face slides off his skull. Women, you also have the capacity to love beyond reason. You have the capacity to see things that no one else sees. It's the reason why they made women mothers and not men, because we just see the boy does something dumb, he's just dumb. We are convinced. But you understand that you can see something that the rest of us cannot. You call it maternal instinct, call it whatever you want, but there's something different about you. But unfortunately, too many women, even today, allow their femininity to stand in the way of their growth. They don't understand the complexity of what it means to be a woman in today's society. And as a result, you don't get to do what you were supposed to do. You try to be reasonable. You try to fit into what everybody else says you need to do. So you're already planning your wedding before you graduated from college. Y'all walk around this campus looking for some big strapping man so you can make him your husband. Instead of looking for people to help you grow as people, regardless of their gender, to push yourself into a different space. Too many people have fought too hard for us to be in this place, for us to continue with what other people consider reasonable. What good is it for us today to consistently do what we've been doing for generations gone by? Why would we accept the same roles that we've always had? Why would we accept gender roles as we always have? And young men, y'all better get it together. You ain't got to clap. I got to ride back. Ain't scared of nobody either. It's not enough to just show up. Too many young men have been raised in a culture in which it's believed that showing up gets you a trophy. That's a damn lie. Just because your mother used to yell at the AAU coach with your little non-talent self out there and they had to put you behind on the floor, it does not translate into the rest of your life. I'm here, ain't I? Congratulations, dude. Now do something. And it's important that you understand that, because too many of our men are limiting themselves because we've set the bar too low. Well, at least he's trying. Really? That's it? Young ladies, you can help us here. If y'all put together a moratorium on intimacy for a week, the GPAs on this campus will shoot through the roof. Men would be at the library at rates you've never seen before. I mean, I get this A, man. I get this A. We have accepted reason even in the most unreasonable places. You have to understand that we have to do better. What was the sense in all this carnage? Why were people marching in the ways in which they were? What was the sacrifice for? It wasn't just so we could get up here and listen to Stevie Wonder sing Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday 4 or 5 times during that presentation. All we needed, folks, was the black national anthem, and we'd been done. All 3 verses, we'd be through. Y'all be asleep right now. You'll do a little something with the programming next time. We need to understand that you need to make a difference. The women and men that you see when you look at Dr. King's marches were your age. This generation, I gotta be honest with you, y'all ain't impressive. I know your parents are all impressed with you. I'm not. I'm not. And I'll tell you why. Because what do you have to offer? What have you brought? You are consumers. A couple of y'all think you did something because you made an app. Bully for you. I got 6th graders doing that. This generation has to add something to the conversation. It needs to change the way in which it's being viewed. You can't just be consumers. You got to be producers of something. Because in case you hadn't noticed, the rest of the world is not playing with y'all. You are competing for jobs with people in other countries, and they're winning. This global conversation around integration has really taken shape. See, the democratization of the economy is rooted in the internet, and you as a group are not winning. You have to stand up for something, and it has to be something meaningful. Something has to define this generation. You have to decide that you wish to be something greater than just the next generation who used the older generation's stuff. You know, I watch as people march, and wow, it's really a parade, really. And y'all ain't really marching, because you're not marching. If you ain't shutting nothing down, you ain't starting nothing up, you really just walking in the line. And so you can take your pictures and post them on Instagram and do what you want to do, hashtag your life away. But if you ain't doing nothing, you ain't doing nothing. And I love you enough to be honest with you, because it's not enough to just show up. See, I don't think that it's reasonable for you to continue to accept the circumstances that as they are. I think that every generation must rewrite the wrongs of the last. My generation didn't give you a lead in the race. We didn't do much to help. But it doesn't mean that you leave it the way it is. It means that you have to make the decision to do something different. We started a school. The reason we started school is because we believed in children. What are you going to do? In order for us to have a more productive experience, in order for us to do what we do, we need more people like you to come in and be unreasonable, to challenge the status quo. It's not just about more parking spaces on a college campus, y'all. It's not just about better hours in the student center. You got to stand for something. You do. Every movement has been built upon the backs of the young. Not some, not most, but every single one. And as we, hands up, don't shoot, Black lives don't matter, Trayvon Martin our ways through what seem like political activities, what we're doing is public political theater. Because what does it yield? What have you changed? Zimmerman might go to jail, but it's for throwing a bottle at his wife, not for killing a black boy. You have to start taking life more seriously. You have to. If y'all wanted somebody to just make you laugh the whole time, you should have brought a comedian. I spend my life trying to save children's lives. I believe in our community. I believe that we can create a world community within which children live better. I do believe it, and I'm unapologetic about it. I can't be convinced, no matter how hard, no matter how many times the teachers union runs out and says, well, poverty is the reason why the kids are not learning, and the parents are not reading to them at home, and that's why they're not learning. And you don't understand when a kid comes to school and their stomach's growling. Have you met children? All their stomachs do is growl. They eat all day. If you have a boy in your life, he eats from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed. If you wake him up in the middle of the night, you better have something for him to eat. I'm here to challenge you to be better. It's not enough to do a one-day fundraiser on a campus. You got to do more. You have to do more. Look around you. This community needs you. You are the best and brightest. Let's just be clear. If our best and brightest refuse to fight, then we lose. I watched my mother struggle. I watched her do without. I heard her in the other room crying. I know what that feels like. You don't have to, and my kids don't have to. But you got to decide to do